This is the occasion of the oath of office for Colonel Anna Mae Hayes, Chief Army Nurse Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, the Surgeon General of the United States Army, Lieutenant General Leonard D. Heaton.
Colonel Hayes, friends, we are first very delighted to announce and to recognize the members of Colonel Hayes' family who are here with us today. Her sister, Mrs. Frischman, with her husband and her 2 children, and her sister, her brother rather, Mr. Donald J. McCabe and Mrs. McCabe. I also want to extend a very hearty welcome to all the rest of you here. And in particular, also, I want to extend a very hearty welcome to members of Sister Services, Colonel Elizabeth Hoisington, the Chief of the Women's Army Corps, and Colonel Kovac, Air Force. Is the Navy here? Oh, Captain Bolshevsky. Thank you very much for being here, and we're always more than happy to have Colonel Florence Blanchfield with us, Chief of the Army Nurse Corps, World War II. Now, there's nothing more constant than change. We're gathered here this morning to witness the induction in office as Chief, Army Nurse Corps, Colonel Anna Mae Hayes, who is more than deserving of this great honor, just as was her predecessor, Colonel Irene Clark, who today steps down by statute after 4 years in office, contributing during those years highly distinguished service. As I said in the meeting, the staff meeting this morning, we will, at an appropriate time, upon her formal retirement, accord her a ceremony and a high award. In the past, the ceremony for the new chief nurse has always been a very solemn and a very momentous occasion, and this is no exception. I think a review of Colonel Hayes' past history is very important at this time. Unfortunately, I have to say, give out her age, because that is always done on occasions such as this. Sometimes you remember up here, we do not do that. In any event, we've got to get her going, which happened on the 16th of February, 1920, in Buffalo, New York. She received her degree in nursing diploma, RN, at the Allentown Hospital School of Nursing in 1941, graduating first in her class. She came in the Army in 1942, sent first to Camp Claiborne, Louisiana, and served there as an operating room, a surgical nurse. From January 1943 to August 1945, she was with the 20th General Hospital, CBI, India, as an operating room nurse. This hospital was commanded by Brigadier General I.S. Rabden. We're all very devoted to General Rabden. Unfortunately, he is quite ill today, or else I am more than certain he would be here. However, I talked to his wife, Dr. Betty Rabden, yesterday, and she got through to Dr. Rabden, and he asked that I convey his heartiest congratulations to Anna Mae, as he knew her and always, his best wishes, and to tell you that nothing could please him more. Colonel Hayes returned from the CBI to serve subsequently and consecutively at Fort Dix as a surgical nurse, at Valley Forge as an obstetrical nurse, and at the dispensary over here at Fort Myer in the outpatient service. August 1950, she was with the 4th Field Hospital as a supervisor in the operating room in Korea. She served there through April of '51 and was brought back to Japan at the Tokyo Army Hospital, where she was a management nurse in the office of the controller. She returned to the States and served at the Indiantown Gap Hospital as a supervisor nurse and assistant chief nurse. At the end of that time, she then went down to Fort Sam Houston to be in the class Nursing Service Administration. She then came to Walter Reed in the summer of 1954, served there first in the ear, nose, and throat clinic as the head nurse and in their operating room, and later as the chief nurse in the emergency receiving. It was during this period of time, June 1956, that Colonel Hayes was chosen as one of 3 nurses to special with then President Eisenhower following his surgery for ileitis and intestinal obstruction. I know personally of the high regard General Eisenhower holds for Colonel Hayes, and as a tangible manifestation of that regard, these flowers were sent to you today, this card, and also I would like to read a telegram which I've just received from him, addressed to me as follows. No one could be happier than I for your selection of Colonel Anna Mae Hayes as the Chief Army Nurse Corps. I've long been an enthusiastic admirer of Army nurses, and under her leadership I know they will give greater and better service to the Army's sick and wounded. Congratulations both to her and to the Army. Signed, General of the Army Dwight D. Eisenhower. Now, Colonel Hayes left Walter Reed and took a year at the Teachers College, Columbia University, to obtain her Bachelor of Science degree in nursing education. At the end of that time, came back to Walter Reed and served there first in the radioisotope clinic under the Walter Reed Institute of Research, and later as a nurse supervisor. She went back to Korea, October 1960, as the head nurse of the Lemtavac Hospital at Busan. Returning January 1962, and was reassigned again to Walter Reed as a nurse supervisor, which I was getting to be a habit with the anime, as a nurse supervisor. September 1963, Colonel Clark, who was inducted in office on that date, brought her in this office as Assistant Chief Army Nurse Corps. September 1966, she left this office to embark upon her studies leading to a Master of Science degree in nursing at the Catholic University of this city. She's now finished her studies, and I understand is writing her dissertation. While we are on this business of degrees, I think it's well to point out that Colonel Hayes, in the pursuit of these, has shown herself to be a very gifted and a very persevering scholar, which has enabled her to attain quite a significant academic success. This is attested to by her consistently high grades on an A average in each of these ventures, and the fact that she was elected to membership in 2 honor societies in education. Now, from the recital of this short history of hers, I think it's readily apparent to all of us that she brings to this high office a very enviable depth of far-ranging experience, which should in turn weigh very heavily in her favor. This background and her other noteworthy talents are uniquely appropriate, I believe, to the office in this world that we are witnessing today, where we are constantly challenged with so much uncertainty, diversity, and adversity. Now, I've always admired and greatly respected her professionalism, be it at the bedside, in the operating room, in the clinic, or as a supervisor, as a chief nurse of a unit, or on staff duty here in this office. And I say without hesitation, this, with a creative mind, I firmly believe, will carry the Army Nurse Corps under her leadership to even greater heights of performance, perfection, and capabilities. I am more than certain that she will carry on in the fine traditions of her predecessors, and will be more than equal to any challenges. Now, would you please read the order?
Attention to orders. Headquarters, Department of the Army, Washington, D.C., 30 August 1967. Special Order number 171, paragraph 19. The following duty announcement: Hayes, Anna Mae, N905, Colonel, Army Nurse Corps. To be assigned Chief, Army Nurse Corps, effective date 1 September 1967. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Harold K. Johnson, General, United States Army, the Chief of Staff.
Please administer the oath.
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Colonel Anna Mae V. Hayes,
I, Colonel Anna Mae V. Hayes,
having been appointed Chief of the Army Nurse Corps,
having been appointed Chief of the Army Nurse Corps,
with the rank of Colonel,
with the rank of Colonel,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign or domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
You have an opportunity to respond.
Thank you. General Heaton, thank you for those kind remarks. I'm deeply honored, and especially honored with the message that we received this morning from our beloved General Eisenhower. Distinguished guests, members of my family, and friends. I accept the appointment as Chief of the Army Nurse Corps this morning with deep humility, knowing full well the many responsibilities inherent in the position, especially at this time when our nation is at war and the profession of nursing itself is changing so dramatically. During the past year, going back and forth to the Catholic University of America, my eyes often rested on the following quotation engraved on the archives building. The heritage of the past is the seed that brings forth the harvest of the future. Today, the Army Nurse Corps is enjoying a rich harvest due to our illustrious heritage. Seeds planted by officers through the many years, especially by two of our former chiefs who are present this morning, Colonel Florence Blanchfield, chief during World War II, when we had over 57,000 nurses in our Corps, and my predecessor, Colonel Mildred Irene Clark. But today we cannot afford the luxury of looking back and resting on laurels already made. We must move forward. We must achieve new goals, charting new paths for old goals, and achieving new objectives. For to stand still in this dynamic period is to be left behind. As Charles F. Kettering once said, the past is gone and static. Nothing we can do will change it. But the future is before us and dynamic. Everything we do will affect it. It is therefore incumbent upon us this morning to continue to strive for excellence in nursing. And as we vigorously pursue this goal, we must be ever mindful of the proper blending of the warm and old spirit of Florence Nightingale and the ultra-modern, sophisticated, technical, and professional skills demanded of us in this technological era. During the next 4 years, therefore, emphasis will be placed upon, first, the art of nursing, stressing understanding and compassion, as well as proficiency in technical skills. Always remembering that there is absolutely no substitute for quality as we minister to the basic human needs of the patient. 2, emphasis will be placed on nursing education, for without continuing nursing education, there will be obsolescence in the practice of nursing. And 3, emphasis will be placed on nursing research, for without research, there can be no progress. Whatever excellence we attained in nursing will be for naught, however, if we forget for a moment that we are but one part of the Army Medical Service team. For it is only through a total team effort can the ultimate objective of the Army Medical Service be attained, the best possible care of the patient, the only reason for our existence. I therefore ask for wisdom this morning that I may guide and direct the nursing service activities through avenues that will assure continuance of this united effort and will contribute to an even greater cohesive and effective Army medical team. For if I may paraphrase Booker T. Washington, we, the 6 corps in the Army Medical Service, may be as separate as the fingers of this hand, but we must be unified as the hand itself. Thank you.
I'm not. It's wonderful. It was a tremendous
Well, I tell you, George, I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you again for coming.
Oh, I bring you greetings from all of the 10,000 wax.
Well, thank you.
We will work together, and we certainly will.
Thank you so much.
Oh, God bless you. Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the world. How hard it's like to watch our things like that. I am so glad. You'll be all right.
Oh, well, you scoot around. How are you?
Well, thank you.
I'm in the receipt.
I'm fine. I didn't feel like I got too big of a street. I were Air Force. I apologize. Why I should have come out of the hill. Well, I tell you, George, I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you again for coming.
Oh, I bring you greetings from all of the 10,000 wax.
Well, thank you.
We will work together, and we certainly will.
Thank you so much.
Oh, God bless you. Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the world. How hard it's like to watch our things like that. I am so glad. You'll be all right.
Oh, well, you scoot around. How are you?
Well,
I didn't feel I got too big of a speech. I thought you were Air Force. I apologize. Congratulations. Wonderful.
We'll see a lot of you again.
A little bit. I knew you were somewhere. Congratulations. You're looking forward to working with me very closely.
Oh, Miss Short, how are you? Oh.
Very best.